Max Verstappen was 3 hours away from winning the most brutal race on Earth. 21 hours completed, 40 seconds ahead. Mercedes completely dominating the Nürburgring. And then, while leading comfortably, the car suddenly started making a strange metallic noise that millions of fans listening to the onboard could actually hear getting worse lap after lap. What happened next shocked the entire paddock, because this was not a crash, not rain, not driver error. The number 3 Mercedes collapsed from the inside, while Verstappen was about to secure what many believed would become the greatest non-Formula One victory of his entire career. But the real story is even darker than that. A terrifying moment during the very first hour may have secretly destroyed the car long before anyone noticed. One tiny mistake, one violent impact, one hidden fracture that possibly waited 20 hours to finally break everything apart. And when Mercedes realized what was happening, the tension inside the garage became unbearable because they knew something horrifying. The race was slipping away, and there was absolutely nothing Verstappen could do to stop it. When the Nürburgring 24 hours started, nobody expected Max Verstappen to become the story of the entire event, because this race is designed to destroy confidence. 161 cars sharing the same circuit, amateur drivers mixed with professionals, constant traffic, zero room for mistakes, and a track so dangerous that even experienced endurance racers call it unpredictable. But Mercedes arrived with a plan that immediately caught attention inside the paddock. They did not put Verstappen in the car first. Instead, Danny Juncadella handled the opening stint from fourth on the grid, while Verstappen waited in the garage. At first, that decision looked conservative, but the deeper the race went, the smarter it became, because Mercedes understood something most viewers did not. The Nürburgring is not won in the opening laps. It is survived hour by hour. Juncadella's job was simple: avoid chaos, protect the car, stay close enough so Verstappen could attack later. And somehow, he executed it perfectly. While other teams fought aggressively through traffic, the number 3 Mercedes stayed calm, clean overtakes, no panic, no unnecessary risks, slowly climbing through the field while the race around them already started becoming messy. But then, exactly 1 hour into the race, everything nearly ended before it truly began. Verstappen climbed into the car for the first time, and seconds later, the Nürburgring reminded him where he was. The incident happened at Floodplatz, one of the fastest and most feared sections of the Nordschleife. Drivers arrived there at terrifying speed before the track suddenly rises underneath the car like a ramp. For a split second, the vehicle almost feels airborne. Now imagine doing that inside heavy traffic in a GT car. During your first real race stint at the Green Hell, the Mercedes hit the crest. The front lifted. Then Verstappen touched the grass. Suddenly, the car snapped toward the barrier at more than 200 kilometers per hour. And this is where the entire garage stopped breathing. Because if he loses the car there, the race is over instantly. But somehow Verstappen caught it. Tiny steering correction, fast reaction, complete control. The kind of save that only elite drivers can produce when instinct takes over before thought even exists. The crowd reacted immediately. Clips of the moment spread everywhere. People praised the reflexes, the confidence, the precision. But here's what nobody understood yet. That save may have secretly started the chain reaction that destroyed Mercedes 20 hours later. At the time, the car looked fine. No visible damage, no broken suspension, no major warning signs. But endurance racing works differently. Sometimes the danger is invisible at first, like bending a paperclip over and over again. It still looks normal, right, until the exact second it snaps. And according to later technical analysis, some inside the paddock believed the violent landing may have placed massive stress on the rear drivetrain components, especially the driveshaft that would eventually fail near the end of the race. That possibility changes the entire story. Because if true, Mercedes was already racing with hidden damage for almost an entire day without knowing it. And the terrifying part is this: even Verstappen himself probably had no idea the race might already be ticking toward disaster. At this point, Verstappen was no longer just competing for a good result. He was taking control of the entire race. And what happened next started creating real pressure inside Mercedes, because the number 3 car suddenly looked faster than everyone else on track. Verstappen entered a long fight with the Lamborghini driven by Christian Engelhardt. Lap after lap, traffic everywhere, constant pressure, no room for hesitation. But eventually, Verstappen forced his way through. And once that happened, the target changed immediately. Now, he could see the Porsche everyone feared, the famous Grello, the car many expected to dominate the Nürburgring once again. But Verstappen was coming fast. What made this so impressive was not just the overtakes themselves. It was the control, the patience, the way he managed traffic, while still pushing at elite pace. Around the Nordschleife, one bad overtake can destroy an entire race instantly. Yet Verstappen kept threading through slower cars like he had raced there for years. And then came the moment that changed the entire atmosphere of the race. Verstappen caught the Porsche. Then he passed it, cleanly, confidently, without hesitation. Suddenly, the number 3 Mercedes was leading the Nürburgring 24 hours after less than 3 hours of racing. That sounds early, but psychologically it changed everything. Because now every team behind them understood something dangerous. Mercedes was not just surviving. Mercedes might actually be untouchable. And this is where the race started becoming uncomfortable for everyone else. Through the afternoon, then into the night, the gap kept growing. The driver rotation between Verstappen, Juncadella, Gaunon, and Auer looked almost flawless. Every pit stop clean, every strategy call correct, every stint adding pressure to the field behind them. But nighttime at the Nürburgring changes people. The circuit becomes something else entirely. Imagine driving through a forest at massive speed with only headlights guiding you, while faster cars appear suddenly in your mirrors and slower traffic blocks corners ahead. That is endurance racing at the Nordschleife after midnight. One tiny lapse of concentration can erase everything. And this is exactly where Verstappen became terrifying, because instead of struggling at night, he became even stronger. Reports from the race described the Mercedes as dominant during the dark hours. At one point, the lead reached almost 40 seconds. 40 seconds around this circuit is enormous. That is not luck. That is control. Now the pressure inside Mercedes changed completely. Earlier, the goal was survival. Now the goal was protecting victory. And those are very different emotions. When a team starts believing victory is truly possible, tension rises instantly. Engineers begin monitoring every sound. Drivers stop taking unnecessary risks. Mechanics double-check every stop. Nobody relaxes, because everybody understands how cruel endurance racing can become near the finish. And the terrifying part is this. While Mercedes look calm on the outside, the hidden damage inside the car may already have been getting worse lap after lap. Tiny vibrations, constant stress, hours of punishment around the hardest circuit in the world. Like a crack slowly spreading beneath the surface where nobody could see it yet. But then, during hour 21, the car finally stopped hiding the problem. The first sign was almost impossible to notice unless you were listening carefully. A strange metallic sound. Not loud at first, not dramatic, just an irregular noise coming from the rear of the Mercedes, while Danny Juncadella was behind the wheel during the 21st hour of the race. And this is what makes endurance racing terrifying. The car usually warns you before it dies. At first, the onboard cameras captured only small vibrations in the sound. Something subtle, easy to ignore. But lap after lap, the noise became sharper, more aggressive, more unnatural. Fans watching the onboard stream could actually hear the car getting worse in real time. That detail changed everything emotionally, because now people were not just watching a race anymore. They were listening to a machine slowly falling apart while leading the Nürburgring 24 hours. And inside the Mercedes garage, panic started building almost instantly. The lead, which once looked completely safe, suddenly began shrinking. Engineers were checking telemetry, mechanics preparing for emergency repairs before the car even reached the pits. Nobody saying much publicly, but everybody understanding the same thing. Something was seriously wrong. And here's the brutal part. At this stage, Verstappen's team was still leading the race, still in position to win. still faster than everyone else. But endurance racing does not care how dominant you were an hour ago. The only thing that matters is whether the car survives the next lap. Eventually, Juncadella brought the Mercedes back to the garage, and the moment mechanics looked underneath the rear of the car, the atmosphere changed immediately, because this was not a quick fix. The diagnosis hit like a punch to the chest. Drive shaft failure, rear right side, completely mechanical, no contact, no collision, no outside damage. Now, for casual fans, that might sound confusing. How does one hidden part destroy an entire race? Think of the drive shaft like the chain on a bicycle. The engine creates power, but the drive shaft is what transfers that power to the wheels. Without it, the car cannot properly move forward no matter how powerful the engine is. And in endurance racing, these components suffer nonstop punishment. Hours of acceleration, violent direction changes, constant vibration, massive temperature swings between cold nighttime air and extreme mechanical heat. Imagine bending a metal spoon thousands of times without stopping. Eventually, even strong metal breaks. But then Mercedes discovered something even worse. The broken drive shaft had caused collateral damage around the suspension and wheel assembly. Other parts were now damaged too. And suddenly, the garage went from hopeful to desperate, because a simple repair maybe takes minutes. A chain reaction inside the suspension can end your race completely. Team boss Steve Bushman initially tried to sound optimistic publicly. He said the team would repair the issue and return to the track. But the mechanics already understood the reality. The Nürburgring clock was now their real enemy. 3 hours remained in the race, but repairing this level of damage could easily consume most of that time. And even if the car returned, victory would already be gone. That realization hit the garage hard, because this was not some midfield car hoping for points. This was the dominant car of the race. 21 hours of near perfection, destroyed by a component most fans never even think about. And then came the moment nobody inside Mercedes wanted to hear. The team officially retired the car. Just like that, the dream ended, half a minute ahead. Victory almost guaranteed. Then silence inside the garage while another Mercedes inherited the lead instead. And this is where the emotional weight became almost unbearable for Verstappen's side of the team. Because they did not lose due to lack of speed. They lost because the car betrayed them after surviving almost an entire day. Which raises a question that still haunts this race. Was the fatal damage already created during Verstappen's terrifying save in the first hour, long before anyone realized a nightmare had already begun? What happened after retirement might have been even more painful than the failure itself, because suddenly, the entire paddock started realizing how close Max Verstappen had been to pulling off something historic. Not just a victory, a statement. This was supposed to become proof that Verstappen could dominate outside Formula One just as brutally as he does inside it. And for 21 straight hours, that is exactly what he had done. But instead of celebration, the garage became a scene of shock. Mechanics standing around a broken Mercedes that had looked unbeatable only minutes earlier. Drivers try to process how everything disappeared so fast. Engineers replaying data over and over again, searching for the exact moment the race was truly lost. And this is where the tension around Mercedes became impossible to ignore. Because the worst defeats in motorsport are not chaotic ones. The worst defeats are the clean ones. The races where you did almost everything perfectly, then lose anyway. No driver mistake. No strategy disaster. No weather gamble gone wrong. Just a hidden mechanical weakness, waiting for the exact worst moment to strike. And what made this even more brutal was who inherited the victory. Another Mercedes. The number 80 windward Mercedes moved into first place after Verstappen's retirement and eventually won the Nürburgring 24 hours. Think about how strange that must have felt inside the Mercedes world. One garage celebrating, another completely devastated. Same manufacturer, same machinery. Completely opposite emotions. And for Verstappen personally, this defeat carried a different kind of weight, because 2026 had already become filled with frustration. Australia brought problems. China ended with reliability issues. Japan slipped away. Miami showed promise, but still left unfinished business. And now Nürburgring delivered the cruelest blow of all. This time, he was not fighting for points. He was fighting for legacy. That is why so many fans reacted emotionally afterward. Some even joked about a curse surrounding Verstappen and the number 3 during the season. But underneath the jokes, there was something serious hiding there. Pressure, because repeated heartbreak changes people inside a team. Engineers become more cautious. Drivers become more aggressive trying to compensate. Tiny mistakes suddenly feel enormous. And every mechanical issue creates bigger questions. Questions Mercedes probably did not want to answer publicly yet. How did the strongest car in the race break first? Did the warning signs appear earlier? Could the team have detected the issue before it became terminal? Or was this simply the unavoidable brutality of endurance racing? And the deeper analysts looked into the technical side, the more fascinating the story became. The drive shaft failure itself was already severe enough. But according to reports after the race, the component damage spread into nearby suspension structures and wheel-carrying elements, creating a chain reaction that made fast repairs impossible. In simple terms, once one part failed, it started destroying everything around it, like a domino effect made of metal. And suddenly, that terrifying moment from hour 1 returned to everyone's mind again. The save at floodplaats, the violent landing, the impact forces through the rear of the car. Because endurance racing engineers understand something most fans never think about. Mechanical failures are often born long before they happen. A tiny invisible fracture can survive for hours under pressure before finally reaching its breaking point. Imagine cracking glass with a tiny scratch. At first, nothing changes. The glass still looks normal. But every vibration spreads the damage deeper until eventually the entire surface shatters instantly. That may have been exactly what happened to Verstappen's Mercedes. And if that theory is true, then the race was already dying while Verstappen was still leading comfortably through the night. That realization changes the emotional side of the story completely, because it means the team may have been celebrating a future victory, while disaster was quietly growing underneath them the entire time. And what Verstappen said after the race made the whole situation feel even more human. He admitted the team noticed something strange during the stint, but could not fully understand why it happened without major contact. That confusion matters, because Formula One drivers are used to controlling outcomes through skill. But endurance racing reminds even the greatest drivers in the world of something uncomfortable. Sometimes talent is not enough. Sometimes perfection is not enough. Sometimes a machine decides your fate long before you even realize you are in danger.